Ever notice how a marriage can survive the hardest seasons, kids, mortgages, sickness, layoffs, and then collapse when life is finally stable? 30 years together, and it ends with one sentence: I'm done. Last video, we talked about the delusion that can form in her mind after years of quiet dissatisfaction. This video is different. This is what happens before she files: the hidden triggers, the psychological switches, the silent chain reaction. And we're starting with it right now. Stage 1, the silent ledger. This is when she's still in the marriage, still showing up, but she starts keeping score emotionally. Not with a notebook, with her nervous system. Every time she felt dismissed, every time she had to repeat herself, every time she felt alone in the relationship. And the scary part? Stage 1 doesn't always look like anger. It often looks like fine, like small complaints, like a woman who simply stops trying to be understood. Here's the key marker most men miss: the shift from communicating to documenting. Communicating sounds like, "Can we talk about this?" Documenting sounds like, "You always, you never, what's the point?" And sometimes it sounds like nothing at all because she stops bringing it up. Men misread that silence as peace, but silence is often just the moment she decides internally, he's not changing. And once she decides that, the marriage is no longer a relationship problem to solve. It becomes a timeline to exit. Now, quick question after that first value point. Have you ever heard your wife say some version of, "I've been telling you this for years"? Comment yes or no. I read every comment and it helps me know what's landing. And if this is hitting home, like the video and subscribe. Now let's move to stage 2, because this is where gray divorce starts accelerating fast. Stage 2, the identity panic trigger. This is where a life transition hits and it acts like gasoline on the silent ledger. Empty nest, menopause, a parent dying, a health scare, retirement getting close, a new social circle. And suddenly the question becomes terrifyingly simple: is this what the rest of my life looks like? Here's what most people don't understand. That question isn't just about the marriage. It's about time, aging, regret, the fear of being invisible. And when someone already has unresolved resentment, they don't process that fear as, "I need to rebuild myself." They often process it as, "I need to escape this life." So the marriage becomes the container for everything she feels: boredom, anxiety, grief, aging, and she assigns you as the cause. This is the switch. The discomfort of life gets misdiagnosed as the failure of the husband. And this is why good men get blindsided, because from your perspective, nothing major happened. You didn't cheat, you didn't abandon her, you were stable. But stability isn't the same as emotional safety. Stability isn't the same as being pursued. And stage 2 is often when she stops experiencing the marriage as a team and starts experiencing it as a limit. You'll notice subtle changes: more me language, less we language, more independence, less warmth, more self-focus, less connection. And if you question it, she'll say something that sounds healthy but can be a warning sign in this stage: "I just need to find myself." Self-growth is not the problem. The trigger is when self-growth becomes a justification to detach instead of a reason to repair. Stage 2 is where leaving stops being a feeling and becomes a plan. Stage 3, the narrative rewrite. This is where social media, entertainment, and certain friends quietly do damage. She starts comparing your ordinary life to other people's highlight reels, and then the mind does something very specific. It rewrites the past to make the exit feel righteous. What used to be, "he's steady," becomes, "he's boring." What used to be, "he's reliable," becomes, "he's controlling." What used to be, "we built a life," becomes, "I lost my life." This is why men say it's like she erased 30 years, because she isn't reviewing the marriage anymore. She's building a story that makes leaving emotionally possible. And once that story forms, facts stop landing. You can list everything you did, provide, protect, stay loyal, but you're speaking evidence to someone who is prosecuting meaning. Here's the hidden switch inside stage 3. Once she finds a social script that validates leaving, I deserve happiness, I'm choosing me, I'm finally living, guilt starts to disappear. And when guilt disappears, action becomes easy. This is also the stage where men start noticing a coldness that feels new. But it's not new, it's organized. She might start protecting her phone, she might stop sharing details, she might start creating separate routines. Not always because of an affair, sometimes simply because the separation is already happening mentally and she's protecting the plan from interference. Stage 3 is where the emotional divorce turns into a logistical divorce. The exit becomes a project. Stage 4, the resignation flip. This is the stage men misread as improvement, less fighting, less complaining, less emotion, and the man thinks, finally, peace. But what you're often seeing is not peace, it's resignation. At stage 4, she stops trying to be understood, she stops negotiating, she stops fighting for change because she no longer believes change is coming. And this is why the divorce conversation feels like a notification, not a discussion. By the time you offer counseling, dates, renewed effort, it can feel late to her because she already did her grieving while living next to you, so her tone isn't emotional, it's calm, final. That calm is what devastates men because it feels like you're dealing with a stranger. Now, what do you do with this without spiraling? If you're still married, your best shot is catching it in stage 1 when the ledger is still writable. That means you stop treating small complaints as noise and start treating them as early smoke. A simple weekly check-in, 20 minutes, no phones, can stop decades from collapsing. 2 questions. What's been building resentment, and what would make you feel supported this week? Second, restore intentional leadership, not control, leadership. Plan, initiate, own problems without being asked. Third, draw a hard line on contempt. Tone matters, eye rolls matter, dismissiveness matters. Contempt is the rot that makes intimacy impossible. And if you're already divorced, this framework still matters because it explains why it felt sudden to you and pre-processed to her. But there is one final terrifying realization that most men only have years later. And if you understand it now, you'll see gray divorce differently because you'll know exactly when danger is highest. Here it is. The most dangerous moment in a long marriage isn't when she's angry. Anger still wants repair. The most dangerous moment is when she goes quiet and polite, because quiet politeness often means she's already emotionally relocated and you're just now noticing the empty space. So if things feel quiet in your home right now, don't panic, but don't sleepwalk. Lead the conversation early. Address what's real, because the explosion after 30 years usually wasn't sudden. It was silent until it wasn't.